Hello, and welcome back to 19 Hits the Dragon, the tabletop RPG podcast. We are continuing on the actual play phase of the season, and we've got some great guests joining us here today to play a pretty interesting and unique game. How's everybody doing?
Oh, great.
Woo! Excited.
You're great.
Hydrated.
In the spooky mood to get even spookier.
Mhm.
Indeed. It is the spooky times as we're recording this. It'll release a little bit after that, but you know what? It's always spooky season in my heart. So it doesn't really matter when this is getting released. It's spooky season still, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Halloween's a state of mind more than it is anything else.
Truly.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not a day on the calendar. It's something that lives in your heart. So
That's right.
I'm glad that you understand me, Alex. Yeah, we're going to be playing a really fun game called Paranormal Inc. It is a GM-less, powered by the Apocalypse game, written by Alicia Furness. Carved from the structure, basically, of Brindlewood Bay, which is another kind of mystery powered by the Apocalypse game, written by Jason Cordova. It's a fun, like, spooky sci-fi mystery solving game. And we'll be playing as like paranormal investigators investigating a paranormal mystery. I'd like to let everybody know like who is going to be playing tonight as well. Obviously, the players are a huge part of being GM-less, right? I'm not running the show. We're all kind of running the show together. So let's go kind of around the room, so to speak. Alex, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us who you are.
Hi there, I'm Alex Rodriguez, he, him pronouns. You can generally find me on a show called 2 Weeks, 1 Shot. It's a tabletop RPG variety podcast where every 2 weeks we play one-shot campaigns in a variety of tabletop RPG systems, and we're all really dumb, and the show leans really chaotic and comedic and dumb. It's a good time. If you've heard me anywhere, it's probably there, and I've guested on a bunch of stuff. You've probably already heard me on Mike's channel a couple times, and Mike's been over on my stuff more than a few times already, and we keep somehow tricking him to come back.
Yeah, it turns out I actually am incapable of getting rid of Alex. I think there's some sort of bond that needs to have a magic ritual to sever. But I'm not interested in severing that bond. So, you know.
Yeah, I'm straight up haunting you. That's the reality. I've been dead.
That tracks.
I've been dead since the year 1942, and I manifested into a podcast to latch onto you.
Well, I'm glad that our fates have intertwined in such a way, and that you've chosen me of all people to haunt. I feel very honored. But speaking of haunting and spooky stuff, who are you playing tonight, Alex?
Tonight I am playing as Madam Nancy, and her pronouns are she, her. She is a medium, so one that can sense the otherworldly sensations of the other world, and she does so in a medium fashion. It's
not too much, but not too little.
You don't want to overindulge.
Just the right amount.
Yeah. Medium's very practicers of the middle way. If you don't know, I have picked a vibe for Madam Nancy, and I think she is flighty.
Oh,
flighty.
Yes,
excellent.
Flighty. What that means, I don't know, but she does it in a very medium way.
We'll figure it out as we go. And what are your abilities? You get to assign abilities to yourself. Everyone gets a +1, 2 zeros, and a -1, and then you get a +1 to kind of throw into your abilities there as well. So how did you set up your stats, Alex?
So of my 4 stats, which are science, wits, vigor, and intuition, she's got a 0 in science. Doesn't need it. Doesn't care for it. She's got a 0 in wits because it's not about that. Okay. For the vigor, it's a -1 because you got to sacrifice something if you want to be really good at another thing. And that thing that she is really good at is intuition, and she's got a +1 on that bad boy. Yeah, because you got to connect with that spirit world,
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I think you do actually get an additional +1 to add to your stats.
Oh, dang.
So if you want to throw that onto intuition and make that a +2, maybe
Oh, snap.
be very
that's not-
intuitive.
+2 isn't very medium,
Nice.
but I'll take it. A little extra medium.
You're allowed to be
Okay.
good at one thing, right? If you're bad at
Yeah.
other things, that averages out.
It's true. It's true. She might not have a high school degree, but damn it, she knows what those ghosts are saying.
Medium well is still medium, just saying.
Yeah.
That's what the server tells me.
That's true. Yep. Uh-huh.
As a former steakhouse employee, I agree.
It's not the right way,
Excellent.
but it is a way.
It is
a
a
way.
medium way
Mhm.
for sure.
Mhm.
my
And
God.
Alex, why don't you tell us about the investigator moves that you picked as well?
Okay, I'm allowed to pick 2 of them, and I have picked the first one is I sense a presence, which means at any point I may announce that I sense a presence and draw a paranormal card where I choose one of the events to encounter. I can read through the more specific part that says roll plus intuition. On a 10+, I discover a clue. On a 7 to 9, the encounter leaves me shaken. I get shook. And then I mark a personal haunting. Then I take a +1 to my next discovery move.
Nice.
So high risk, high reward on that one.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll get into a little bit more about what a personal haunting is and things like that as well, and drawing a clue and what all of that means. So we'll circle back around to that, but it'll help you out, and there's some risk and reward to it too.
Fantastic. And my second move is friend to all. My presence is calming to ghosts. When I take the ghostly encounters move, I may choose an additional outcome to receive from that encounter.
All right, great.
Just a real friendly psychic person.
Yeah,
So it
definitely
sounds
a good
like-
person to have on the team.
You're great with ghosts, but are you an insufferable, flighty, just always on person? Like every room is some sort of vibe and haunting. Is that it?
I will tell you exactly of who I was thinking of as I made this character. And it is the little lady that comes in the movie Poltergeist.
Yes.
I saw the medium playbook and I was like, this is it.
Oh yeah.
It's her. God, it's been so long since I've seen that movie. I can't remember her name, but I remember her voice, and I'm all about it.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I think that kind of covers all the bases for you for now. And then we'll go over to David. Hello.
Yeah.
How are you?
Hello.
Hey.
I'm David. Oh boy, I guess who I am first. I'm probably best known in this sphere for a podcast I run called Trials of the Apocalypse, where we play a variety of different Powered by the Apocalypse games and take them to their inevitable and awful conclusions. Often not so inevitable or so awful, but quite enjoyable either way. I've been on 19 Hits the Dragon a couple of times for a game we played together.
Mm-hmm.
I hesitate to call it a one-shot because it felt like, it was more than that. It was like it was the campaign of the end of these poor people's lives.
Yeah, definitely.
And also, I think I've done an episode where we talked about like character building and stuff. So
Yeah, we had
look
a
out for
really great
those if
chat.
you're
Yeah.
interested. But
And-
today,
Yeah, who you playing?
yeah, I'm going to be playing the Ghost playbook. So if the medium is striking that happy balance of the normal and the paranormal, I'm just leaning full into the paranormal, baby. Like we're going all the way Ghost. Like there is excess is the definition of this character. My name is going to be Sasha Graymatter. And Sasha's pronouns are she,
Very
her.
good.
She is going to be having a 0 in science, a 1 in wits, a -1 in vigor, and a 1 in intuition. So she's pretty good at those two things. She's okie dokie with the science, and she's not. It turns out that in order to be quite vigorous, it often requires a physical corporeal form.
Mhm.
And that is one thing. I think Sasha would say the only thing really that she's lacking. Her vibe is generally a little bit nonplussed, a little bit absent-minded. We're going to get into a little bit more of her character in a second, but that's kind of like the general vibe with her.
Gotcha.
And the two moves that I've picked are Ghostly Visage. I may change my appearance as necessary. And if I'm in a situation where this is a benefit, I can roll with advantage. So that's nice.
Ooh.
And then the other one I'm taking is Body Swap, which is a fun one because it's actually not what it says on the 10. So Body Swap is the effects of your last possession linger, and I gain one additional special investigator move that I must choose from a playbook that is not currently in play. So my actual move is coming from the Skeptic playbook, and I am taking Documentarian, which means I have a piece of technology that I always carry with me in order to document what is happening, like a video camera or a tape recorder. We'll get to that in a second. I'm going to add this item to my backpack. And once per mystery, when an investigator misses on a roll, I can choose to play back what I recorded to review what happened. And that investigator's roll now becomes a 12, and I narrate what actually happened according to my recording.
Oh, that's amazing.
Incredibly
And
useful, for sure.
how I'm interpreting all of this for Sasha is that Sasha, you know, she was a teen when she died tragically, and her goal was always to become a huge TikTok star. So now, of course, like the internet's totally cut off to her in that way. But instead, there is, for ghosts in the paranormal, there is a spook spot. And she has her phone that she records our paranormal investigations with. And her goal is to become a top spook spotter. Wow, that's good. I regret naming it that already.
You did this to yourself.
Said it.
I sure did. I chose it. Well, technically, Emma, my partner, came up with it, so she is to blame. So I'll throw her under the bus instead.
Does Sasha have a nickname for her followers?
Oh, she should. Well, if Spookspot is exclusively for the paranormal, then maybe like the Paranormies.
That's good.
Excellent.
Well, you're gray, Matt. The gray skulls. No, that's
The
something.
Grainiacs?
Oh, Grainiacs.
Grainiac is pretty good.
That one gave me heartburn.
Oh my God.
So yeah, Sasha is just, you know, filming the crew, doing our stuff to hopefully catch some great footage to go on Spookspot.
Excellent. Awesome. I think that kind of covers all the bases for was it Sasha or Tasha?
Sasha Graymatter.
Okay, great. Awesome. And up next then is going to be Reed. Who are you?
Hello. My name is Reed. My pronouns are they, them. And I am the GM of the Lancer Actual Play podcast, Bring Your Own Mech. You can find us on Twitter at OwnMech and me at Replays. And I mostly post about my life and weird thoughts about pop culture and promote my show. And today, I will be playing a scientist because I'm actually a scientist in real life. So thought that would be fun. Also, I don't know if I messed up the order of this. I'm like,
no one who's keeping track of things. Not me, that's for sure.
Great. Yeah. So, so basically, my character that I brought today, my scientist is Dr. Parsimony Dimer, or Dr. Dimer for short. And because I love having a good doctor name. And
That's powerful.
That's a powerful doctor name.
yeah,
That is a powerful name.
And their pronouns are they, them. And I guess as far as vibes go, I'm thinking we have disheveled. That's probably a good one. Like, this is a scientist that cares a lot more about the science than they do about their appearance. And I guess, you know, it feels like I should at least say what kind of science they do. Is that cool if I have like a teeny weeny bit of a backstory-ish thing?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
sentences?
What kind of scientist is Dr. Dimer?
Well, specifically, a paranormalologist.
Nice.
I don't know if that's an actual word, but I think it's funny.
Very
That's
official.
the name
I
of
think
it.
of that guy from the History Channel who's like aliens, like
No,
that.
essentially,
But
yes.
it's ghosts.
But but exactly.
Ghosts,
And so
yeah.
that's the thing is they have spent their they have made their career out of proving that ghosts exist. Unfortunately, this means that they pretty much are laughed out of most academic spaces and have pretty much no funding. So they have to scrape by quite a bit. So I think that contributes to the disheveled nature of them. And
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
And yeah, how did you sort your abilities? Your,
right. So
stats?
I put 1 in science. And because of course, but I'll probably make that a 2. So I
Okay.
think that makes sense since
Yeah.
I get that extra point. And then 0 in wits, and vigor is -1. You know, they're a scientist, not an athlete, right? And intuition is also 0, which I think is very funny. It's like they're very good at the science, but just no real awareness. Very one-track mind, like myself.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And what are the scientists' their investigator moves?
Right. So, I chose, of course, because this is great. I get to start with an item in my backpack, and I don't believe I have to declare it until the moment that I use it. So this move is called experimental technology. So I have a piece of untested technology in my backpack. I name it, I describe what it does, and I add it to my backpack. When I attempt to use the experimental technology, I roll plus science. And so basically, it's kind of like a mad scientist type of move where I'm like, here's my thingamajig, pull it out, and hopefully it works well. If it doesn't, I have to repair it, and it's not fun. But it doesn't seem to be like any other drawbacks as far as I can tell. If it does actually break, I just have to find time to repair it, I suppose.
Yeah, I imagine you probably can't use it for like the rest of the scene or something.
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah, that's what it seems like. So that would obviously be a bummer if I broke my thingamajig the first time I pulled it out.
certainly.
And yeah. And then my other one that I picked is a new hypothesis. So once per mystery, when I miss on a theorized move, I may suggest a new theory. If the other players agree with me, I can attempt to theorize again without searching for new clues.
Nice.
So I think that will definitely come in theory. It will come in handy when we are theorizing about the mystery.
Yeah, absolutely. A very crucial end game move to have for sure. And yeah, we'll get around to what the theorized moves are and kind of other moves that we've talked about a little bit as well here in just a moment. And then up next we have Zach. Conan, how you doing?
I am fantastic. Still recovering from being ill, but feeling better and better every day. I am Conan Librarian. You might know me from not having a podcast I appear on regularly or any sort of show. But
Oh my god.
I have actually been lucky enough to be on to play and host with several of these fine people here. You can find me on Twitter talking about random tabletop and dad stuff. So that's what I do. As far as the game, I'm super excited. I'm going to be playing Eric Smith, the intern. He, him pronouns, which is about the only thing you can really ever remember or tell about him because he's so otherwise nondescript and forgettable that it's almost painful. I went with Eric Smith.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. 0 in science because he doesn't need to know a thing. That's why he's
Mhm.
there to learn. +1 in wits and a +1 in vigor because he's got to think on his feet. Because when they say they want a hot venti but not too hot, he's got to know how hot that is. And he's got a +1 in vigor because he's got to take those hot but not hot ventis thrown back in his face and get back and get another one. And a -1 to intuition because he doesn't really need to get a hold of the other side. He's just there to make sure everyone's got what they need to get a hold of the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad that the intern is the person with positive vigor stat tonight.
Thank God.
We'll get to you in a second, but I also have a -1 to vigor. So,
and I guess I should
somebody's
say
got it.
my vibe is eager. So I am,
Nice.
yeah, Eric is always willing to put in the extra effort, carry what needs carried, get what needs gotten, and get after it. He's there to impress. He's had a long string of incredibly unsuccessful internships before this, so he's hoping that this one, being in a completely different field from the other 6 that he's been fired from, that this one works out.
Not promising.
No, he's like late 30s intern. Like he's been through a lot to try. He's finding himself. There's nothing wrong with that. As far as the moves, he's got underappreciated. So the skills you have are overlooked by the rest of the team, and after seeing a result of any that you make, you can add a +1 to the total, which is nice. And coffee runner. So you are skilled at quick thinking and quick moving, and when you need to be, once per turn, take 12+ on a roll related to thinking or acting quickly. So he is, like you said, with his eager vibe, he's Johnny on the spot.
Awesome. Sounds like a very resourceful and useful person to have around. So glad to have Eric joining our team.
Eric Smith, you'll forget my name, and that's okay.
Love how he's really scraping the bottom of the barrel for internship.
I don't know where he found this or if someone approached him, but he was like, "Does it pay? Not really. Do I get my name on a door? Nope. Do I get a business card? Nope. Can I have a job? Yep. Come on."
I imagine being so nondescript kind of helps him in the interview process. Whenever someone's doing a background check, you're like, "Oh, did Eric Smith work for you guys?" Yeah, that sounds like a person who worked here once.
Well, it helps him out. You can't tell if it's a C or a K at the end of it, so it just, yeah. He makes ends meet. He gets by. Yeah.
He may have worked here before, but
oh my God,
can't remember him.
It seems familiar. We'll say yes so that we don't look like we're the fools.
Right.
Right. I'm pretty sure I've worked with Eric.
Yeah, he. If you were to think of his face, he looks like that one guy.
That guy.
Yeah, that area.
That guy.
You're pretty sure you worked with that guy at some point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Eric Smith.
Awesome. Great. Well, I guess that leaves me then. So, as I said earlier, there's a GM-less game. Everybody gets a character to play, and I'm going to be playing Humphrey. Pronouns are he, they, and Humphrey is a bookworm. So generally like mask presenting, identifying, but also kind of somewhere else around and beyond that, right? And his vibe is confident but quirky. So he either knows what he's talking about or thinks he knows what he's talking about, and is going to be a little, off and kind of in his own world about all of that as well. And for Humphrey, their stats, I gave him a +1 to science, a +1 to wits, a -1 to vigor, and a 0 to intuition. So he's kind of a smart guy, very well read, very sharp, not very strong or hardy from spending all of that time hanging out in libraries and not doing anything else. No exercise for Humphrey. And intuition is, average. So he's like middling when it comes to reading other people and reading the sort of supernatural aspect of things, but very well read on all of those. So, yeah. And the moves I took for them are I've read about this, which means that I get an additional use of the Handbook of the Recently Deceased move, which we'll talk about here in just a minute. But that's typically something that is only done once per mystery from the whole team. So with this move, I can get an extra use of that to be able to consult our Handbook of the Recently Deceased and get some benefits from that. I also took the move Hacker, which means you prefer digital research and have some pro-level hacking skills. When you make any roll related to computers, roll with advantage. So if we're going to be doing anything to get into computer systems or anything like that, or if our ghost is maybe screwing around with computer systems and I need to get him out or whatever, we'll see how handy that ends up being. But I'll get advantage when I roll on that.
Nice.
Yeah. Cool. So that's the characters. I think we've got a nice little group here, and it seems like we've got some academics as well. So I think that there's a good chance, and y'all can give some input to this as well, but I think our group, Paranormal Inc., as our company is like an academic, maybe funded by a university to investigate the spooky stuff that we can't make use or make sense of, right? How do you all feel about that?
I love that idea. It's like, right, they got a grant. They had to hire somebody to be able to fulfill that grant. These five people showed up, or four, and then they got
one of them is in fact a ghost. So like, hey, we don't have to pay them at all, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Sasha's absolutely not on payroll. No.
Really adds legitimacy.
I don't think you're even like officially part of like our roster. You're just kind of there and part of the group, like sort of an unspoken agreement that we have.
You don't tell Sasha that you're going to go on a particular inquiry. Sasha just like shows up and it's also there.
Did Sasha maybe die at the university? So she's haunting like whatever our office building for Paranormal Inc.
Love that.
I think
Good.
this makes sense because Eric is there. He's taken the internship to just defer his student loan payments at this point. It's just, he's got to do something. Nothing else is working out. Paranormal Inc. Yeah, I love fantasy. And he showed up to the interview and there's a literal ghost sitting there with a like, cool. Okay.
I love the idea that he doesn't know what paranormal is. Just like, I love fantasy stuff. Cool. And parachutes?
Like those ghost hunter dudes on SpookTube. I'm super excited.
Oh my God.
That's perfect. Awesome. So the last thing that we want to talk about character-wise then is the backpack. We've mentioned it a few times, but each of us has a backpack with some items in it. And the way that the backpack works is, other than, what we get from our playbook, Reed has some experimental equipment, and Sasha, David has their I guess undead smartphone, or
it's just a ghost smartphone.
Yeah,
don't ask too many questions. Don't think about it too deeply. It's a ghost smartphone. Excellent. It is what it is.
Cool.
I was kind of hoping it was just like a floating cell phone that we would just have to deal with every once in a while.
So in addition to those couple items, each of us will have additional items in our backpack. And the way that this works, we've confirmed, is that we get to kind of go around the room and everyone sort of assigns an item to each other, or we'll start kind of back around the circle with Alex, but everyone else is going to get to decide what Alex has in his backpack. So Yeah, I think we'll kind of go in sort of the same order. We'll start with Alex's backpack here, but
Okay.
David, you get to pick what's in there first.
Yeah, I mean, you're a medium. I think you have a set of candles. You know how they have the candles that have like a particular print on the side of a particular like saint, if it's like, more Christian oriented, but they also just make these for like anything these days.
There's the Jon Snow candle.
Yeah.
There's
I think you have a bag of those, a set of those that has like every character print that you could like possibly need or require for a given session.
Good.
This one's my SpongeBob candle.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Okay, yeah, I love that.
Reed, what's another item that Alex... And I'm sorry, Alex, can you remind me of your character's name one more time? Madam...
She is Madam Nancy.
Madam Nancy.
Mm-hmm.
So, Reed, what's another item that Madam Nancy has in her backpack?
I mean, of course. Okay, I'm between a crystal ball or tarot cards.
Ooh.
And,
ooh, man.
Like, yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll find uses for them for both of those. But I guess, crew, what do you think? What do you think would be more funny to put in the backpack?
So I had a flash of a crystal ball is always a good focus, but you're not going to walk around with a giant crystal ball, but some sort of like Pyrex or like faux glass crystal ball, like a travel mediums or travel mediums toolkit, something.
Oh my god.
One of those like hand balls that you can move around, but it's just one of them.
Oh my god,
like,
yes. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what you have. You have a travel-sized crystal ball.
Look, when you have a -1 in vigor, you gotta make things easy to
It's
carry
you're
around.
like
Have
looking
a heavy
into it, and it
backpack.
only shows you like part of the
Really?
picture, like it's like kind of cropped out because the dimensions are wrong.
Because otherwise, I'm imagining like carrying a bowling ball bag everywhere with a crystal ball is impractical.
Yeah.
Although you
I
do have
know.
an intern with
That's
+1
No,
vigor
no,
who
I
could
just-
carry
That's
it for you.
true. That's true. Yes, intern.
I like
carry-on
the idea of the
bags.
travel-sized crystal ball. I like the idea of the tiny crystal ball because then it's like I have to put on my cheaters just to see what exactly I'm divining in this thing. Oh, man.
Fantastic. All right. Zach or
Thank you for that.
Eric Smith, what's another item that Madam Nancy has in her backpack?
I think she would have to, because mediums face, whether they're actually talented or not, face a lot of doubters. So something that's also kind of modern to help set this scene. Like, fine, you don't believe me? Some sort of what's a classic piece of like ghost hunting? What's that Geiger counter spirit thing? Like,
There's the REM box. There's the spirit
but,
box.
like, it's
like
there's
EMF,
an EMF. There it is.
Electromagnetic,
Like
yeah,
a
EMF
little
reader.
EMF
Yep.
reader thing, so you can set that on. So even when, and I don't know how well it works or if there's triggers or not, but like something that she uses for like, because someone comes and says, I want to talk to my dead grandma, and they bring their friend who doesn't believe you. You also have this more modern piece to like see.
And it can also help you find the areas with stronger Wi-Fi.
There you go.
Ah.
There you go.
EMF reader / Wi-Fi detector.
Excellent.
Got it. Perfect.
Awesome. So I think kind of on the other side of that, you have it can be worn as a necklace, but it is like a pendulum with like a crystal hanging from it. And you can use it as sort of a directional, like, where is the ghost or where is the paranormal activity in here, right? So you
Like
kind
a
of
spiritual
divine
dowsing
where-
rod.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it can be worn as a necklace or like whatever, but you like hang it from your hand and use that the focus
I'm
essentially.
going to put a detection Detection
Yeah.
pendant.
Nice.
Yeah, if that,
Sure.
I think that makes sense as a name. Yeah, okay,
Great.
okay, I'm into that. None of these add legitimacy to what I do, but
If
I'm
anything,
into
they
it.
all add a little bit more fog to your actual
yeah, for
validity
real.
as far as what you do.
Which is perfect, I think.
Yeah, just using these creates more doubt, if anything.
Excellent. So next we go over to Sasha's backpack. And I think, Alex, you get to decide the first item that's in here in the ghost's backpack.
Okay. If you're not able to do this by supernatural means, then you can veto this. But I would think, right, if your item is a phone, then some sort of selfie stick, or like one of those like the little stabilizers that like you can move around with it to flip it around and flip it up and all
a
that.
cell phone gimbal.
Up your production value.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yes, cell
Yeah,
phone
they have little
gimbal.
like selfie
Yeah,
sticks that turn
yeah.
into like a tripod as well. So it could even be something that you can
Mhm,
set
mhm.
down to record.
Yep. It's a ghost. One of those died,
It's
and you have
a
its
ghoul
ghost.
bull. No, that's not. I
Oh.
can't think of-
Get out. Leave.
Ow.
Okay, excellent.
Who invited you anyway?
My kidney.
Listen, this medicine is making me extra punny, so it's gonna be all night. I'm sorry, guys. None of them good, but it won't stop.
Excellent. All right. Reed, what's another item that Sasha the ghost has in her backpack?
So remind me, how old is Sasha? Like, do you know how long ago roughly Sasha died?
Like earlier this year. Like
Oh.
Sasha has not been dead very long.
Wow, I was not expecting that.
I'm
with
going to
the
say like
sweet
maximum
spot,
6
sure.
months. Like maximum 6 months.
Okay.
I think Sasha was an aspiring college student. That's why she was visiting the university.
Okay.
I think she's like, when she died, she told everyone she was 18, but really her birthday was still a few weeks away.
Oh.
Oh,
poor
no.
Sasha.
Yeah, sorry. It's still a soft. She is a ghost. Sorry to report that. But I mean, hey, she's not letting her stop her. She's just like, really, it's like now that she doesn't have to eat or sleep, she still has to rest, but it's kind of different. Now is like the best opportunity. It's like a gap year she's taking to like pursue her passions. So.
True. What did Sasha study before she died? Like what?
I think Sasha was interested in studying. I think she was interested in studying like film, maybe VFX. She wasn't quite sure.
Maybe she wanted to be like an influencer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea of her having a camera, like a kind of an analog camera, not just with your phone, but like I don't know. I feel like that somebody that's interested in film, I feel like would have something like that.
There is like the great trope of like some things you can only catch on film, right? Like
yes.
you can't use a digital camera. Like you gotta like develop it and like see what comes out. Like
exactly.
I love that. That's fantastic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of camera, but we could like Google something cool.
Well, they have like the Kodak ones that produce an instant. You just have to wiggle it.
Oh right.
And then you've
like
got
a Polaroid.
Polaroid.
Okay, you have a Polaroid camera because that's great. I love that.
Nice.
Awesome. Fantastic.
Nice. Do Sasha's school credentials still work?
I think in a world where ghosts are real,
She's still
they
able
might.
to-
Right.
She can still log into the Wi-Fi. She's not sure
Oh
if
my
that's just
God.
because ghosts can just do that, or if it's because her credentials still work.
That's so
but, yeah.
fucked.
Awesome. And Eric, what's another item that Sasha's got in her backpack?
Well, my first two ideas were legit already stolen. So,
Oh, no.
so I was thinking like a lighting gimbal or some sort of camera device, but I think she wants to be an influencer. She was interested in film. She's also a teen. I think she's also got something because, like you said, she's taken a gap year. How seriously does Sasha take herself? Let me ask you that.
I think she takes her passions quite seriously. But that is to say, her brand is still quite like out there. She is, after all, like now trying to build her presence around paranormal investigations and like filming these investigations and sending that to other ghosts. So like there's like a weird niche angle there, I think, for sure.
This is a tough one then, because as a ghost, I want to say that Sasha has a lot of props. Like, you've got kind of this bag of ghostly props, and even though you are a ghost catering to other ghosts on a ghost app, sometimes like you throw in this spooky effect, or like you've got this backdrop, or you have these super cheesy cobwebs like, hey gang, just dropped in and this place is like way more haunted than I thought. Like, really kind of cheesy gags.
I love the idea of like putting up fake spider webs ahead of doing a shoot just to get the ambiance right.
Like, even as a ghost, to like be like, whoa guys, I'm feeling it. Yeah, so a bag of props.
Awesome. Yeah.
Love it. And the other ability that she has is like shape shifting, right? Like she can
she can like change her appearance.
Okay.
Yeah, so no filter.
Whoa. Or so she says.
I think to help out with that, you also have like a costume pack, like of clothes. You know, she can change her shape.
She can change her appearance, but like she's still in the same clothes she died in.
Right. She's maybe got when she died, because she did want to kind of be like an influencer, she already had a set number of outfits that were tucked into her backpack to have like on the go. So now and because of kind of the spooky nature of being a ghost, that is sort of formless, right? She can kind of pull whatever she wants out of the backpack, out of this pocket that had all the clothes.
Turns out if you like burn stuff in a particular ceremonial way, you get like the ghostly, effigy, the artifacting of what they were before, and she just did that to an entire theater department.
Now, is this also connected with the recent death 6 months ago?
Now
is our university rebuilding a theater department after a tragedy?
Oh my god.
Nothing was proven in court. Right?
Yeah. There are rumors that the wiring was bad in the theater department, but like we're not really so sure.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So then we'll switch over to Dr. Dimer. Alex, what's another item that Dr. Dimer has in their backpack?
Okay, so Dr. Dimer, they are a paranormal... what was the name of the science?
Paranormalogist.
Paranormalogist. Wow.
Make them paranormal normal.
I wonder if it's an actual word, or if that's just something I made up. Well, okay, it's not really a word, but there is a Twitter for paranormology.
That would make someone who practices it a paranormalogist.
Exactly.
Yep.
So
true.
I declare that is the word. That is the official.
Fantastic. Okay. A paranormalogist. I would think if we're going the scientific angle, I straight up just watched a whole Netflix show about paranormal investigators, so it's all fresh in my head.
Yes.
I'm gonna say you have the infrared camera, right? That you're able to move forward. You can see heat signatures or latent placements of certain things that maybe aren't there, right? Maybe just some AC is hitting that spot, or maybe there's something creepy going on.
Oh yeah,
right. So I think that's a good one to have in your toolkit.
Yes, I love that.
Awesome. David, what's another item that they've got?
Yeah, I think that the good doctor has... I think they have like a portable generator um, because like they've got all these electronic devices, and sometimes you're
Yeah.
in like an abandoned building or something where you need to run legacy equipment or something. So I think they have like a small portable generator, quieter than you think, but still loud enough.
Love it.
Awesome.
We talking like gas powered,
Yeah, like,
or
do
it's
I
an
pull
electric
it like
battery
a-
kind of like
Yeah.
yeah. How big of a startup does this?
I like the idea.
like starting a lawnmower over
Yeah.
here.
Okay, hear me out. If this is dumb, we don't
okay.
do it. But I like the pulling motion, but it's a crank generator.
Yes!
You've retrofitted, so it's pull.
Yes!
So you just have to keep pulling.
Oh.
You just have to keep pulling as long as you want electricity.
Oh, God.
Come on.
And by you, of course, I mean the intern who has +1 to vitality.
Right.
Yes.
As long as there's a good place to like plant one foot on top of the thing to just
Yeah.
like I'm imagining
Yeah,
pull
I
starting
think-
a boat engine just over and over.
Yes.
Eric,
I
put
think to
some
kind of complete it, so he's
elbow
the
grease into it.
Yeah.
just to kind of complete it, so the intern isn't having to constantly do that. You have to like spend a solid minute pulling on the ripcord,
Exactly.
and then you
Show
have
exactly
like
to it.
energy for a while.
Yeah.
To plug
Love
things
that.
into.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
I hope everyone's okay if I do like a Heimerdinger voice, because I think
do it.
that's the vibe I'm getting right
100%.
now.
Oh,
So,
for sure.
That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah.
What show's Heimerdinger from? Why does that sound
Okay,
familiar?
well,
What is
League of
that?
from
Legends.
League of Legends, but also,
okay.
but
Oh, okay,
also,
yeah, got it.
but also
got it. It's in here
Heimerdinger
now.
was an Arcane. So if
Yes.
you watched Arcane,
Yes,
you would
yes, I
see.
did actually. That's the only place I know it from.
indeed,
Nice.
That's a great
Excellent.
Heimerdinger impression. Love that.
yeah, I've been working on it. My
Perfect.
girlfriend hates it. She was like, the worst day of my life was the day that you convinced me to play League with you. And
Are you in character as you play League? Is that what's happening?
I mean, sometimes I like to say the voice lines along with the characters because it's
Look,
funny.
Amazing.
Every game is a
Amazing.
role-playing game if you make
Exactly.
it one.
That's a great way to
That's right.
practice your character voices. That's all
Absolutely.
I'm saying.
True.
You know?
True.
All right, and Mr. Intern, who's going to have to pull this ripcord. What else is in? What's another item in the backpack?
Well, for fear of giving myself yet another vigor-based job, I think you carry a stack of your papers with you, like, because you say that you've been just laughed out and you're not respected necessarily in your field, but I like the idea that you carry just this big binder of your manuscripts and papers to
Oh
give
my
to
God.
people at any
Yes.
point. Like, no, listen, I wrote here's this like 20-page thing about this to just keep handing out to people at all times on these random paranormal events and effects and things. So just
Oh my
a big old
God.
binder of papers and articles that you've written and sponsored.
That's so good. I love that.
Fantastic.
It's like a 20-page paper, and then like the supplemental materials are like it's like another 40 pages. It's just
Yeah.
awful.
And you just
Like-
have all these
Yeah,
like
and it's referencing things that you also wrote
And-
because there's
yeah.
no other writing on this.
Exactly.
hella
and the
footnotes.
fact
Hella
that, the
footnotes.
fact that handing someone a 60-page manuscript, like a physical copy, is the
Yes.
most obnoxious thing I can possibly think of.
it's in the middle of, do you feel this cold spot? Cold spots, you say? It's just
I'm like handing them to our bookworm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think Humphrey has definitely read your like dissertation, front to back a number of times.
Man after my own heart.
just because they're that much of a word nerd.
I'm a sort of man. Not quite man.
Man, enough.
Eh,
Um,
I get it. Gender's fake anyway.
yeah, absolutely. I think for your last item, I'm going to give you something a little bit on the smaller side since you've already got a lot filling up your backpack. I think you have a UV flashlight.
Oh
For,
yes,
like-
that's important.
Handprints, footprints, like those types of like ghostly that evidence that they can kind of leave behind.
Yes, I too have played that one Ghost Hunter game that I forget the name of.
Yeah,
Phasmophobia.
Yeah,
There
we
we
actually,
go.
Zach gave you the EMF, or gave Alex the EMF reader earlier, and that's what I was
Yes.
thinking of as an item for your backpack. So I was like, what are the other items in Phasmophobia?
Exactly. Like, I was like, all right,
Frantically Google.
either going to be
Yeah,
UV flashlight, salt, or the crucifix.
right.
I always carry the crucifix with me because that'll save you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
For sure. Great. And then we come to our intern, who's got, I'm sure, all kinds of stuff, being the everyman. Alex, what's one thing that, or sorry, Madam Nancy, what is one thing that Eric has in his backpack?
I think given the fact that we've given him so many tasks already, I think I think Eric has interned in enough places and done enough menial work that he knows that all that constant lifting and pushing and running, it's killer on the lower back, right? So he's got one of those like belts that he puts around his midsection to help with lifting heavy items.
A back support belt. Yeah.
Yes. Gotta keep those lumbars nice and straight while you're running around all over the place.
I like it. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I definitely worked my fair number of warehouses before this gig, so it's a must, really.
I gotta ask, how old is Eric? How old of an intern are we working with?
If you were to look at him, if you could remember his face, late 30s, early 40s.
Oh my God. He's an age range. Amazing.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Adds to the mystery.
David, what's an item, or sorry, Sasha, what's an item that Eric has in his backpack?
You know, Eric has a few decades of interning experience under his very large belt, and I think that's really why the belt is so large. First off, I think it's because Eric's experience is so great and diverse. The only way to contain it under your belt is to be under a belt so large. But I think that Eric has a employee manual from every place he's worked. So you could spin that as something usable in to convince someone of a particular background, or if you're arguing like, oh no, I've worked in something where, I would know how to do this thing better. You could maybe leverage it in that way as well.
I like that. Yeah, he's got kind of like how the doctor has this binder of professional papers. I have just my big collection of places I've worked at short term with all the policies. I like that a lot, actually.
Fantastic.
That makes sense.
It's something great to read when you're trying to fall asleep too.
Right. I'm a big fan of employee manuals as it is, so this is right up my alley.
Yeah,
he is. He really is.
You didn't mention it earlier, but you also might know Conan here from writing a wonderful game called Corner Office, which is all about that bureaucratic mumbo jumbo nonsense.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to run it, and a few of these fellows here were on it. So yes, this is an item after my own heart, really. Thank you.
It works on levels, which
Yes.
I appreciate.
Yep.
Yeah, Reed, what's another item that Dr. Dimer, what's another item that Eric has in his backpack?
This one's hard. Okay, just remind me what we have so far.
Lift back support belt that I'm going to say it's one of those broad ones. He's usually wearing it
yes.
under his shirt just all the time.
Yeah, it
Yes.
takes. It's like it's almost like a girdle.
Yeah,
Oh
when he
my
sits
God.
down, you can see it like
Definitely that
smushes.
little bit of pudge.
Yeah.
And then a manual, right? Was the other
A
one?
collection or a big binder
collection.
of employee manuals and guides.
Right. Okay. So what does every good intern need? Well, I don't know. I feel like we're probably going to give Humphrey a laptop, so I might not give you one, but um, maybe something like gosh, you know, snacks.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you're like a soccer mom. You packed oranges and apple slices and and Capri Suns. You're snacked to the max.
I
Just
like it.
in case anyone's sugar gets too low, you're there.
I absolutely have a stash of power bars and glucose drinks and apple slices. Yeah, trail
Trail
mix.
mix.
Yeah.
Oh,
Some
yes.
with nuts, some without, some with chocolate, some
Yep.
without. Yeah. I absolutely love that. Always having a like, man, you look peckish. Here you go.
You can always throw them at the ghost if need be.
That's true.
It can
Sasha
become
volunteers for you to throw the
projectile weapons.
Excellent.
I like it.
Well, I think in the spirit of being always ready and always useful, you also have in your backpack a very sturdy multi-tool,
Oh yeah.
like
Oh,
heavy duty, like DeWalt maybe or something like that. That's you've had it for ages, but you know it's like old reliable, right? Like it's always going to be good. No warranty on it because it's never going to like fall apart, right? Like it is the multi-tool.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That's perfect. Has every sort of random knick-knack tool on it just for all the random things he's had to tackle. So that's perfect.
Yeah, that's like actually practical.
I mean, I literally got a new multi-tool today. I've been playing with it off camera. I collect multi-tools as it is. So that's literally in my other hand as you said that. So that works out great.
I like how you showed up to this just as yourself, Zach.
More or less.
I
That's
appreciate it.
You know, you bring inspiration to your characters, and I am late 30s, don't know what I'm doing, this guy, essentially. I mean, minus actually owning a back brace, I'm pretty much Eric, actually, now the more I look at this.
Art imitates life, my
That's
friend.
right.
Art imitates
It's
life.
going to make it very easy to play.
So I guess I'm the last person left then. We'll go around the circle again. Alex, what's an item that I have the bookworm Humphrey has in
bookworm.
their backpack?
Ooh, man. I think you have those like steel / aluminum bookmarks. Yeah, I think you've got one of those. Doubles as like a ruler, doubles as a straight edge. Like I think that's like your go-to bookmark. Your primary reading material has that one in it, right? The one that you're currently on. And then that's the one that really marks what your progress is as you're going through. Yeah. And you know, could probably be used as a weapon if need be, but you know, it's side use. Can
be weaponized or has many functions.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know, some say reading is the greatest weapon there is.
The pen is mightier than the sword. But sometimes, you know, the heavy steel bookmark is better than the book itself. So I'm not going to hit people with the book. Those things are delicate. I'll take the bookmark out and beat them or, you know, break open the door or whatever I need to do with it.
Can I ask you to come up with a detail for this item?
Yeah.
The bookmark has an inscription. What is the inscription on the bookmark?
Interesting. I think it's definitely going to be a quote, like a literature quote. Zach is going wild, so I think he's got it.
But don't take my word for it.
Ooh.
I like that.
Just my literary awakening really was reading Rainbow. So it's the first thing that popped into my head.
Awesome. Great answer.
Yeah, I think Humphreys would definitely have aspirations of maybe in this current life or in a former life or the next life being very close friends with LeVar Burton, for sure.
Oh, that'd be solid.
But don't we all?
Yeah.
Great. Sasha, what else do I have in my backpack?
Yeah. Feel free to reject this. I have a option as well, but this one's going to sort of maybe throw something your way that you could integrate as we play the game as well. What I'm thinking is, I think that Humphrey's been given a note or like a short letter from a secret admirer that was like left for them at the library, because like you always sit at the same like desk there anytime you're there, and I think someone has like taken notice of you, and they left you this like note, and I think that you're not sure if they were alive or dead. Like, you're of course very familiar with the paranormal, and I just think that anyone we encounter in the course of the mystery could be the person who gave you that note.
Okay.
Just as a subtle little under detail.
No, I love that. I'm just making some notes here.
Specifically, what I had in the back of my head, somebody who's listening to this has listened to like all of Dimension 20 and knows way more than I do, but I listened to like one of their arcs where they were like at a school, and I think his name was Korg. Like, he didn't know who was his dad. And so he like asked anyone who could possibly be his dad if they were his dad. And that's kind of like the vibe that I have in the back of my head of like, somebody gave you this, and it could be anyone.
I'll just go around. Did you leave me this note? Hi, nice to meet you. Were you the person who left this note for me?
Like, do you spend time at the library or?
No, I dig it. Great. Dr. Dimer, what's another item I have in my backpack?
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, sorry. My PI was messaging me, so
oh, you're good.
So if you could just remind me really quick, what is in your pack so far?
So I've gotten a steel bookmark.
Right. Okay.
And a note from a secret admirer.
Okay, perfect. Then I will give you the laptop. Because you mentioned before that you were like going to be the go-to research person. And so it makes a lot of sense that nowadays lots of libraries are online and almost entirely digital. So the laptop will be helpful.
Yeah, I think whatever copy of the Handbook of the Recently Deceased I have is probably in a PDF form, so it's on the laptop. Awesome. Eric, what's another item that I got?
I think as academia focused as you are and intelligent and a bookworm, all of that, I think you also, however, carry with you your like one of, let's say, a nostalgic read, like one of the first books you read as a kid, or like one of your favorite novels that if anyone else were to see it or know that you carry, like maybe even some Harlequin novel, if someone knew that you had this thing, you would almost be embarrassed by it. Like some sort of book that's just kind of ridiculous for someone like you to carry, but is your guilty pleasure or nostalgia book. I'm not going to decide what it is, but I think until you kind of pull it out of your backpack, it's kind of a Schrodinger's book that you've got there.
I think I know what it's going to be, but I don't know the title of this actual book right offhand.
Right.
I'm actually going to have to go and talk to my spouse who reads some of these particular books to tell you all what it is. But we'll get to that.
Is it a Danielle Steele novel?
No, it's no,
it's a Nathan Sparks
quite,
novel, right?
But it is. I'm having a total brain fart right now, and she's going to make fun of me. for not remembering.
I mean,
Laurel
like I said, you don't
K.
have to
Hamilton,
tell
I
us.
think, is
Okay.
the author. But yes.
I love the idea that in another timeline, it's the Gold Crown Mysteries books from Brindlewood Bay.
Okay. I think that as well. Cool. I'll make that note here, and yeah, we'll figure out exactly what that book is when it comes into play, or if or when.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So that's all the character stuff for everybody. So now that we've wrapped that up, we can move on to talking about how this game works. As I mentioned at the top of our episode today, it's a GM-less Powered by the Apocalypse game. Powered by the Apocalypse is a system that kind of gets hacked into all kinds of different genres. And if you want to know more, go check out David's podcast, actually, because they do a lot of those. But it's a pretty simple system. And then I think, this game has kind of simplified that even further as well, which is pretty neat. But being GM-less, like, what does that mean? How does a tabletop game work without a GM? Is it just 5 assholes in a room improvising together? Well, yeah, pretty much. That's what it's going to be. But so there are some rules though that we do have to follow to play the game. Unfortunately, no. It's so the mystery that we'll be going into is going to have a couple of different phases, so to speak. So we'll do an introduction phase, which basically is going to be sort of the setup for the mystery, tell us what's going on, what we're looking at, where we are, and sort of what the mystery is. And then we'll move into the investigation phase where we're, snooping around, trying to see what's going on, having some paranormal events, finding clues, trying to understand and solve the mystery. And then once we feel like we've visited all of the spots or enough of the spots and gathered enough clues and met with enough people, then we get into the resolution phase, which we will all basically try to take the clues that we've gathered and the interactions that we've had with the NPCs and come up with a conclusion, draw some sort of conclusion, find a resolution to this mystery, and then we'll roll and see if we're correct or incorrect, or need to go back and look for more clues or not, maybe. So that's sort of the basic outline of what the adventure is going to look like, but inside of that there is a lot of room for some really neat and fun things as well. So being GM-less, we are all sort of playing as player characters with our own playbooks, but we get to have some fun and do some of the things that a GM would do as well, right? We get to kind of be the GM for each other. So the way that this works is through drawing playing cards from a deck or from a number of decks, really. So the way that it's kind of broken up, the different suits of the cards of a regular set of playing cards get broken up into different they each have their own function, right? So the hearts suit is going to be locations. When we need to go to a new location or a new spot inside of the mystery, we'll draw from that location deck and we'll get a prompt from a prompt list to tell us what spot we're going to next. And we can kind of always go back to locations that we've been before, but we can't go to a new place without drawing from the deck to figure out where it is that we're going. The diamonds, the suit of diamonds is going to be the paranormal event. That's kind of the spooky thing that's happening in that place. We'll draw the paranormal event, usually draw the card as you're going into the new location, and whoever draws that card can kind of decide when the paranormal event is going to take place, based again on the prompt list that's given to us in the mystery. Next, we have the spades suit, which is the NPC deck. Whoever draws that NPC will read from the prompt, and they get to play the NPC within that scene. So again, kind of handing off the GMing responsibilities, so to speak, by letting people describe the locations or play the NPC for a scene. You as the NPC don't get to also interact with your player character, I think, or otherwise we just kind of be talking to ourselves. We can kind of figure out how that works, once we get into it. And the last suit being the clubs, which is the clues. And those are the things that are going to help us solve the mystery. Again, we'll draw a clue, we'll read from the prompt list and decide what that clue, kind of the context of that clue. So that's sort of the basic premise of like the mechanics of the game and the GM-less faction or side of it. Does anyone have any questions about that or anything that they would like to add to that I might have missed?
So are we able to see the card cues, or is that something that one specific player holds on to, or...
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think this is something we can discuss as a team, actually. So since we are playing remotely, we'll all want to have like the copy of the adventure up, or not the adventure, the mystery, which is going to have all the prompt lists, right?
Right.
So I think the way that this can kind of work is that at all of our individual desks, we each have these 4 decks kind of laid out in front of us. And when we go to a new location, say, someone will say, I want to know what spot we're going to next. And they'll be the person that draws the location card from their deck and read the location prompt based on that. So I think we'll all have access to the prompts, but whoever's drawing the card will maybe know what's on that card and know where to look on the prompt. And then they'll get to pick which of those, usually like 3 options that they're given for each card number. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Logistically, that would also mean too, like say I drew a particular card because I'm describing a scene, then the others would need to discard that one as well.
So I think for each scene, we can kind of decide either in the moment or before we're going into the scene, like who's in charge of which deck. Because there are 5 of us and there are only 4 decks, right? So each scene is going to, leave one person without a deck to draw from. And that's okay, just as long as we kind of shuffle, right?
Yeah.
And I think then also when we go into a new scene, we can take each deck and kind of find the cards that were drawn from the previous scene, discard them, reshuffle, and then we'll be set up for the next scene. Would that work for everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're only
at the top of the scene, right? For example, right? Top of the scene, Eric Smith says, "I'm gonna be in charge." Or Zach, I can't even distinguish the two from
Conan Zach. Eric,
yeah,
sure.
He says, "I'm gonna be in charge of the locations deck." Reed says they're gonna be in charge of the paranormal event deck. Easley says NPC deck, and then Mike says the clues. Right? So it's just first come, first serve kind of deal.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that sounds good to me.
Okay.
Unless anyone has a better system for that, I think that kind of being free forum is...
The cards, I think, are only like 2 through 10, so there's not that much shuffling to say, like, I drew the 2 of diamonds, and everyone gets rid of their 2 of diamonds.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it comes up, you just throw that one out, right?
Right, exactly. So it is ace through 10.
Ace.
Right, so there are 10 for each thing. And don't worry about it right now, Zach. We'll get our decks and everything prepared for when we're ready to play the game.
If I don't do it now, I'll lose it, believe me.
You know what? That's fair. And I'm sorry
I've
trying to impose my own
just to make
prep on top of you.
Because otherwise, it will be gone within a week.
No, that's valid. Cool. So yeah, does that work for everybody? Like at the top of the scene, we can kind of decide who's drawing what deck for that next scene, and then switch it up for the following scene after that. Once that scene concludes. Cool.
Yeah, that
Great
works.
idea.
That sounds better than my system of just yelling at the top of my lungs until everyone lets me do whatever. It works great in an audio medium, by the way.
This isn't your
Yeah,
podcast, not this time. All right.
No, but that's good. And then also we have the general moves that everyone can do. And this will kind of go back into some of the like investigator moves that we each have as well, and kind of bring up some things that we touched on earlier but didn't actually get to go into too much detail about. But essentially there are, well, I guess there are kind of 4 moves that can be done inside of the investigation phase, and then the final theorize move is in the resolution phase, right? So the 4 moves that take place inside of the investigation phase are the risky move, the ghostly encounters move, the discovery move, and the handbook of the recently deceased move. To break those down even further, the risky move is kind of a catch-all in sort of the same way of like a lot of other PBTA games is you have like act under pressure or something like that, right? Like you're doing something that's a little bit dangerous, a little risky. It doesn't quite fit into the other categories, and you can kind of decide, the risk that you're taking, and you will roll 2d6 plus whichever stat. Something that's kind of unique about this game is that instead of the moves being sort of associated generally with a particular stat, any of the stats can fit into any of the moves, right? So if you take a risky move, that could be you're rolling plus science or plus intuition or plus wits or whatever, right? You kind of get to decide which of your stats you're using. And I think we, as your players with you, can interject with that as well, right? Maybe help out, maybe make things a little challenging for each other, stuff like that. So what the kind of results of a risky move, though, is on a 12 or above, you do what you intended, or hold steady. The player on your right, or any random player, since we're playing digitally or online, will tell you some extra benefit or advantage you receive from that. So generally speaking, 12 is like extreme success, right? So for a risky move, you get a bonus to whatever you were trying to do. On a 10 or an 11, you accomplish your task, you do what you intended, hold steady, and get to describe what that looks like. On a 7 to 9, a random player will tell you how your actions would leave you vulnerable. And then once you know how that would leave you vulnerable, you can decide if you go through with it or not. If you go through with it, the other player who described the vulnerability describes what your result looks like. It's kind of a mixed success, right? Like you succeed, but with a cost. And yeah, it's as I said earlier, the risky move is kind of a catch-all for actions that don't otherwise fit into a different move category. Any questions about the risky move at all? Cool. Next, we have the ghostly encounters move. So this move comes up when you have an interaction with a ghost while investigating, usually after the paranormal event for that scene has been drawn. You can make a ghostly move to ask the ghost a personal question about another investigator. The investigator must answer honestly. You receive a ghostly vision about another investigator. Describe it and then add +1 to your next move. Sorry, y'all. The dog's scratching at the door. And, message Hannah to come get him. Give me just a moment.
The dog is just trying to participate.
He just wants to play.
Yeah.
Is it the dog or is it some paranormal activity?
Ooh, it's
adding
a
ambiance.
Okay, hello.
Okay, but that is terrifying if a ghost's like scratching. It's like the story probably most people have heard this story. My mom used to tell this story of like the guy who like has the sensation of his hand being licked at night
Oh, yeah.
at somebody's house, who's like, oh, I've never seen your dog, and the guy's like, I don't have a dog.
A dog. Why do you gotta like?
And that's why I'm scared to put my hand out of the covers at night.
Yeah.
Because of escaped mental patients with hooks for hands and all the other slasher.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to remember what is it they like.
Ghost.
Don't they open the closet at the end of the story and there's like something written in it in the closet? It's like people can lick to something like something not great.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. People lick to. Yeah.
I have never heard this before, and I will now think about it forever.
Like the way my mom told it was that the child was like talking to somebody later, and they said, well, people can lick too.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even own a dog. No, I'm just like, no.
I know. Low key, my mom used to tell some of the scariest stories I've ever heard in my life.
That's like, how old were you when she told you this story?
Like 7.
God damn.
Yeah, that 7-year-old to 9-year-old age range is like the best for scary stories in an oral sense. It's so good.
It's like reading those scary stories and more scary stories. Yeah. No, it was the books.
Scary stories to tell in the dark.
Yeah, and it's got like the black and white art and the like. That's nightmare fuel. Still, I own them, and I don't show like. I don't look at them. I bought them for nostalgia, and I can't read them.
My God.
Speaking of the Goosebumps books, I remember we used to have a bunch in a closet under the stairs at my mom's house. And I remember I could never look at the cover that has Slappy, the doll, on it, right? It's just him sitting on the bed with the
Night of the Living Dummy, Return of the Living Dummy.
Yes, I couldn't.
Revenge of the Dummy.
I couldn't have those in my room because like that cover was like terrifying. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
It was like that and the cover for the N64 version of Resident Evil 2. Just like I couldn't keep
with
that box in my room.
Hand in the eye.
With the hand, yeah. Good old childhood fears.
So speaking of terrifying things,
that wasn't a dog. That was straight up a ghost, right?
It was.
Hannah's
it was
on a walk
fact
with the dog.
Yeah, that's. Luan was nowhere to be seen. I don't know what was scratching at my door. Yeah, we're talking about the ghostly encounters. This is, by the way, I should have read the full text before I started talking, but the ghostly encounters move, you get to choose the options if the interaction with the ghost is related to your personal haunting. So a personal haunting, we didn't really go into too much detail about this when character creation, because it'll come up when we're playing. But if you fail on a roll, you can instead choose to mark off a personal haunting, and that gives you some advantage or insight into the situation. It makes it an automatic success as well, an extreme success, but you get to describe how something from your past, as detailed on the character sheet, whichever option you choose, impacts the situation that you are in right now, and how like your history with the spooky supernatural realm is brought to light in this moment. So if you are interacting with a ghost and that interaction is also related to your personal haunting, you get to choose 2 of these options to make happen on your ghostly encounter move. So you can ask the ghost a personal question about another investigator. That investigator must answer honestly. You receive a ghostly vision about another investigator, describe it, and then add +1 to your next discovery move, which we'll get to in a second. And you may clear an appropriate condition. Basically, if you have a negative condition, maybe giving you disadvantage on rolls or something like that, you can choose to clear that. If you have 2, this can be chosen twice. And you can also stumble upon a clue relevant to the scene. Tell the other investigators what it is. This clue cannot conclusively solve the mystery by itself. So I think, reading that, and you guys tell me what you think about that description as well, but that says to me that you're not drawing a clue from the clue deck, but rather you kind of get to decide what clue you find, and it is somehow relevant to the mystery.
Okay.
Yep. The only restriction being that it cannot this is the solution. Oh, it's in a clue.
Right.
Like it has to be sort of like the other clues, be a bit more general than that. Something that might fit the narrative that's being built, but not in and of itself serve as the answer to the mystery.
Right. Not going to solve all of our problems for us, but be something that helps us.
So it
points us in the right direction.
Yeah, it seems almost peripheral, a little bit of set dressing for the answer itself. Because since a lot of it seems comes from drawing, since this is GM-less,
right,
it would almost be hard to say flat out, well, here's a clue I find and here's how it's relevant, is still only as impactful as the further clues we draw out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's something that's on par with the other clues on the clue prompt list.
I just think it's a very cool mechanic to be able to build out instead of also just relying on the randomness, to be able to build out more of what we're finding in the mystery and the world around it, as opposed to just relying on the prompts themselves. That's just a really neat mechanic.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next we have the discovery move, which, as we mentioned before, the ghostly encounter can kind of feed into this as well. But the discovery move is basically searching for a clue. We are conducting research, we are gathering information. I think, that also, if you're investigating around the space, trying to search for things, that would count as a discovery move as well, right? So you roll using your appropriate modifier in whatever fashion you're attempting to discover things. On a 12 or above, you find 2 clues. The player responsible for the clue card will tell you what they are. So that clearly indicates that you're drawing from the clue deck, right? On a 10 or 11, you find 1 clue, and the player responsible for the clue cards will tell you what that is. On a 7 to 9, there is a complication with the clue itself, or something you encounter while searching. A random player will describe the complication. So I think that tells me that you still find a clue from the deck, but someone gets to decide how there is some sort of complication with finding it with the clue itself that makes things a little bit trickier, right?
I do have a question then.
Yeah.
Do we want to have a mechanic on the quote random player who helps decide, or just I kind of I feel like at some point someone will have a good idea, whereas someone else may have nothing.
Yeah, I think
just comes organically, or forcing a roll, forcing a random. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I'm cool with it being more organic.
Okay. I thought if we want to make it really random, we could, get a D10, right? 1 to 2 is one person, 3 to 4 is another, 5 to 6 another, 7 to 8 another, 9 to 10 is someone else. And then we roll that. I don't know if that's adding too much already.
We could do that to randomize, and then to your point, Conan, somebody, if they feel like they don't have anything good, they could always open it up then, to a broader audience, to someone else to possibly answer.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, since this is something that it's like another person is playing it or is influencing this, you can just roll like a D4 and assign numbers around. Whoever's rolling that D4. We all play dice games. I'm sure we've all got D4s hanging around. The little evil caltrops that they are. Does that sound good to everybody?
Sounds
Sure.
great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then, if that person that gets chosen doesn't have anything, we can open it up to someone else who might have an idea.
Awesome.
Sounds
Sweet.
good.
Perfecto.
Excellent. And then the last kind of investigation phase move is the Handbook of the Recently Deceased move. So once per mystery, when any investigator says, I read about this in the Handbook of the Recently Deceased, work with the other players to describe how something happening in your situation is documented in the Handbook of the Recently Deceased, a guide for paranormal investigators. At minimum, you must provide the following information: name the paranormal event, describe the problem or situation a ghost might experience that's related to what the investigators are experiencing. And so like how it's relevant to our situation. And then describe how the ghost's problem or situation was resolved. And the benefit is that we get to take an automatic 12 plus success on whatever we were trying to do. So if we were trying for a discovery move or for a risky move, and we really need to succeed, someone can say, oh, I read about this, right? So that's the Handbook of the Recently Deceased. It typically only gets used one time per mystery. But since I am the bookworm, I get an extra use of that, which is really nice. So we get 2 automatic successes in this mystery.
I'd love to see min-maxing.
You can min-max and roleplay. They do coexist together.
No way.
Any questions about the Handbook of the Recently Deceased? I just personally love the Beetlejuice vibes that comes from it.
Yes.
Obviously an homage to that. So.
Oh, for sure.
I'm a big fan where anything gives you liberty to come up with random bullshit and to the setting. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's my kind of system for sure. Cool.
Now,
is
there a specific motif for the Book of the Recently Dead? There's a very neat illustration. But reading through, is there an author? Is there an origin? Is there I almost feel like there's
flexible up dusted aside.
Yeah.
Like kind of almost a heavy history. It could almost come off as a Necronomicon, and it could also be like you know what? The Twilight author was right. It's pretty much just like this. Like I don't know the name of the author, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like depending on the world that you would want to play, you could decide it's bound in human flesh or it's glittery like Team Edward.
Oh my God.
How's that for 2 extremes, Alex? I'm watching you
between.
cringe pretty hard.
It's hurting a lot. It's hurting me pretty bad.
So I think, the Handbook of the Recently Deceased is a book for ghosts. And if we're drawing back on the Beetlejuice homage there, that's what the purpose of it is as well, right? Like they die, the main characters die, and then they're haunting this house, but they've got this handbook that's like supposed to help them be ghosts. So I don't think that there is a known author. And I have a hunch as well that it's something that's like the book isn't fully written either. Like you could flip to the back of the book and it's blank.
Oh, I like
that. But
that.
it kind of writes itself in sometimes as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It has applicable information in chapters based on kind of who's using it and where they're at. Okay.
So there's tons of stories about paranormal events and how ghosts have done things in the past and so forth. But there's also room for ghosts to do new things, and that just to be like like everyone has access to it, right? It's kind of an ebook that's being written by ghosts or
a living document. Unliving document.
Yeah,
unliving document. I like that.
That's good.
Nice. Cool. Which I guess brings us to the.
I think Sasha's trying to boost her entry.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
She submits articles to this thing over and over and over again.
From her own experiences. Yes. 100%. I wonder if the way that Humphrey came into possession of the book of the recently deceased is from Sasha, who's haunting the library that he hangs out in, or the office now.
I think all ghosts get a copy of it. Like as soon as you're a ghost, like, hey, like
Right.
this is like basically like here's your instruction manual on understanding being a ghost, like, you know.
Being a ghost for
and-
dummies.
And
Yeah.
I think like Sasha got it and was like, I don't care about this. And then just gave
Flipped it
to you.
around.
Just
Yeah.
put it on the shelf, and then you found it there one day.
Yeah, absolutely. That's perfect.
I'm my own brand. I don't need something to define me.
But she does go back and like check it periodically to see, because like I'm imagining it as kind of like having a record of sort of ghosts more broadly, but then also like particular ones that have like made an impact on either like, you know, the living or dead communities.
Right.
And
Ghosts
like she's
of
trying
note.
to get an entry in the book.
Yeah.
Like
Excellent.
Do we all share? Is there like a departmental copy of this? Right, Sasha's copy is the one that we all refer to, or have we
I think
all?
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like that.
Other-
That makes sense in
yeah.
the world.
And like everyone else has kind of perused this a little bit, but Humphrey's probably read it from cover to, well, not quite to cover, but as far as it goes towards the back cover, right?
What he can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric hasn't even bothered to pick it up. Like, he asked for a copy, and they're like, "That's not how it works." He's like, "Okay, whatever you say."
He doesn't need another manual to
Yeah,
carry
like-
around.
He's just thinking like, if he's looking for an abridged to add to his collection, but
Mm.
Lord.
like if he could just get
The
a look at
Cliff's
the
Notes.
table, the table of contents, or the like, that's all he's looking for. Because more to him, it's probably stuff he's mostly covered in other jobs. Like he was an
Yeah.
intern at like this exterminator company for a while, mostly small rodents and insect removal, but it's probably about the same thing.
Right. I like to think Eric's inquiries into the book are like, what's proper PPE? Well, how do I
Yeah.
submit my time card?
That's right. Yeah, you didn't see any of that, so it's just like, this is not for me. Coffee, I got it. I'm your guy.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. Like you probably came in, you're like, oh, handbook on the desk here. Sweet. Yeah.
Yeah.
A new handbook. Open it up. Oh no, this is not. This is for ghosts. Like this is not. This
Yeah,
is not.
I'm not a
pertaining to me at all.
ghost. I'm not
Yeah.
a ghost at all. This is not for me.
Yeah, certainly. Awesome. Cool. So I think that brings us to the theorize move, which also kind of leads into the resolution phase as well. So the theorize move is, when all of us have an open kind of freewheeling discussion about the solution to the mystery. So we've gathered all of the clues that we think we can or need. We've been to all the places that we want to go, talked to all the NPCs we want to go to, etc. And we just kind of chat about all of the things that we've found and encountered, and get to kind of come to a consensus about what the solution to the mystery is. And we roll plus the number of clues that we found, minus the mystery's complexity. So the mystery itself has a rating complexity, right? So we'll subtract that from the number of clues that we found, and then add that total to the roll of 2d6, and that will kind of tell us if we've solved the mystery or not. So on a 10 or above, it's the correct solution. As a group, we can narrate how solving the mystery achieves the overall goal. On a 7 to 9, it's the correct solution, but there's an unwelcome complication to the solution, and a dangerous situation to overcome before solving. So then we can, as a group, kind of decide what sacrifices have to be made in order to achieve our goal and solve the mystery together. On a 6 or below, the solution is incorrect, and you may return to the investigation phase to find more clues or narrate your failure as the end of the mystery. It doesn't matter who rolls the theorized move. The theorized is not subject to any modifiers on the dice roll other than what we've already discussed, nor can it be affected by taking a personal haunting. So we can't decide to succeed by taking that personal haunting ourselves. And our scientist as well has a move that lets them re-roll, was it? Or not an automatic success, but I think you get to just re-roll the theorized
normally
move
with the theorized move, if you don't have enough clues, if you roll poorly and you miss it, then you have to collect more clues before you can make another attempt at theorize. But with the scientists, they can just be like, but what if it was like this? And then you just try right again straight away.
But seriously, hear me out.
If the move a new hypothesis is taken.
Yes.
Then that allows for that.
Right.
Yeah. So basically it lets you circumvent spending more effort to try to gather more information, when instead you can just be like, okay.
But here's what actually happened.
Yeah.
Which is super clutch. That means that we can at least try again without having to go back into the investigation phase or deciding that we failed. Since we're kind of doing this as a one-shot recording, I think if we fail both times, then probably that's just going to end up being the end of the mystery. I would hope that doesn't happen, but we'll see.
We shall
see where we end up.
Sometimes people fail and ghosts win, and then you die, and that's how ghost stories happen.
Ghosts. We all become ghosts, and then that's the next mystery to be solved.
That's
right.
And that means you can all, like, in a more permanent way, join Sasha's channel. And, well, I'm just sensing like a media empire in the making. Is all I'm saying.
Delightful.
Perfect.
Cool. And that's kind of a summary of the game. I'm actually going to do a quick scroll through of the handbook real quick to make sure I didn't forget anything. But does anybody have any questions or anything that they would want to add while I'm doing that?
No, nothing at my end. Nothing I can think of. Yeah,
it's pretty similar to stuff I've already played or have listened to be played. So, thank you once again, Trials of Apocalypse.
I was going to say there is a lot of Brindlewood Bay DNA in this game. So if you're listening to this right now and you're like, this sounds really rad. Well, first off, buy yourself a copy, play Paranormal Inc. It's going to be awesome. Very excited. But also, if you like this sort of vibe, you might also pick up a copy of Brindlewood Bay or The Between, which also uses a similar mystery system and
Apocalypse Keys. Also,
just came out.
System, and I played the playtest version of Apocalypse Keys, and it fucks. It's really good. I'm so excited to get my hands on the final version. So fucking excited because it really marries both of like Paranormal Inc. and Brindlewood Bay, but make it Hellboy, which I'm very into, or Doom Patrol, or whatever your media of choice.
Your preferred Monster Hunter fucker vibe.
Exactly.
Doom Patrol for sure.
And we'll be playing one mystery here, but if you're interested in picking up this game, there are actually there's a Kickstarter that I think just went live or is going to be live soon that is going to have more mysteries and such for the game to check out as well. So if the mystery that we play in this one shot isn't quite your vibe, there are a lot of other options to check into as well.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah. And speaking of, I think that's maybe our final thing on this episode is just to not even fully introduce the mystery, but say what we're going to play. We're going to be playing Antenna 8 written by Sven Truckenbrot. I might have mispronounced that, and I'm sorry if I did, Sven. Yeah, but it is a complexity of 5, so that'll kind of come into play when it comes time to have enough clues to make a roll. But the tone is kind of a creepy pasta vibes. It'll take place at a haunted radio station, and we'll get more into that on the next episode.
Did you
Very
hear
excited.
though
Very excited.
that radio killed, or no, did it, television killed the radio star? Fuck! I
Video.
fucked it
So
up.
close.
You were so
Video.
so
Fucked
close.
it up. I fucked it up.
That's the perfect outro. You got it.
No. I was gonna
Nailed it at 1.
so close to sounding so clever.
This sounds better.
That's perfectly on brand for 19 Hits the Dragon, so it's fine.
Video, television.
That's all the same
Radio
thing, really.
and
Yeah, radio killed the radio star. Did you also
Yeah,
know
there
that?
you
Fun fact.
But yeah, so y'all, thank you so much for joining us today. Really love the characters that we've come up with and the kind of dynamics that we've got. I can't wait to get into a mystery together in our next episode. So listeners, check back next week, probably when we get into the mystery Antenna 8.
Yay!
And we'll see y'all there.
All right.
Woohoo.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Oh, Bear, I wasn't saying bye to you.